Welcome to Solent Sports News. I'm Harrison Reed with your local and national sporting headlines. It may only be October, but already there is a huge game at the bottom of the Premier League this weekend. Southampton are looking to kick-start their season as they play host to Newcastle on Sunday. Luke Dennis spoke to some Saints legends at St Mary's.
It's been a miserable start to the season for Southampton. They sit in 16th place with just 6 points to their name. The Saints have only netted 6 times in the league, despite the addition of Liverpool striker Danny Ings. The clash with Newcastle this weekend is a huge game at the bottom of the table, with the Magpies yet to win a game. Club legend Francis Benali believes this is the perfect match for Hughes' men to get their season up and running.
Fine margins, I think it is. It's just to turn it in our favour, and I can hopefully see that happening on Saturday against Newcastle, where a few goals to go in, the confidence to come back, and we'll put a little bit of daylight between us and some of the other teams.
Hi, my name is Peter Rodrigues, captain of the 1976 Cup Final winning team.
The last man to lift a major trophy for Southampton says the club needs to start scoring goals.
They've got a couple of good lads up front. Unfortunately, their track record isn't that great when you analyse it. So I think they need a couple of strong strikers up front.
Defeat for the Saints would leave them just a point above Newcastle, who start the game at the bottom of the table.
It's a busy non-league weekend in Hampshire. After 2 defeats in a row, and with new injury troubles, Eastleigh Football Club travel to Halifax Town this weekend. The Spitfires currently sit in 10th in the National League, but remain with no permanent manager after Andy Hessenthaler left for Dover earlier this month. New interim assistant Ross Flitney explains who's in and out of the side.
Yeah, we got Josh Eyre back, which is a massive plus. I think we'll possibly be without Raider and Zeb. We've had Zeb in this week, so that's kind of good. We've got a good understanding of him now, what's going on. Having Josh back's a massive help.
Havant and Waterlooville travelled to 3rd place Leyton Orient this Saturday in need of a win. The Hawks have not won in 7 league games and were also knocked out of the FA Cup by Met Police last weekend, a team 2 levels below them. Defender Jordan Rose believes a positive reaction to that defeat is important.
It's a massive game.
It's a great chance. It's probably the best fixture we could have asked for such a disappointing game against Met Police, like you say, at the FA Cup. It's a great chance for us to bounce back, and we can probably almost use the FA Cup exit as a kickstart to our season.
AFC Totton could earn over £2,000 this weekend. The Stags travelled to Gosport Borough in the preliminary round of the FA Trophy. Victory would be huge for the club, who have recently struggled financially. Defender Callum Chugg is looking forward to the occasion.
It's a massive game for us. Not only are we wanting a cup run, we haven't really had a cup run in a few years, and I think it would be massive for us to just get some success in the cup. It'd be good to see some old faces, obviously at Gosport, not just for like Benno, where it's his old club, Wildy, Robbo, Tony Lee, people like that who were at us last year.
This Sunday, the Formula 1 World Championship can already be decided. With 3 races remaining, Lewis Hamilton only needs to finish 7th or above to claim his 5th world title ahead of rival Sebastian Vettel. But how has Vettel slipped off the pace? Charlie Cranston explains.
Vettel's victories in the first 2 races of the season seem to set up a fight for a 5th world title between himself and Lewis Hamilton. However, a season of missed opportunities and mistakes followed for the Ferrari driver. First up was Azerbaijan. Gunning for the race lead, Vettel dived down the inside, but instead of the champagne, he only tasted smoke as his tyres locked up and sent him down to 4th. Another lock-up in France cost him a penalty and damage, which sent him tumbling to 5th. However, many think the defining point of the season was at his home Grand Prix in Germany.
Is it out of the race? Sebastian Vettel! Accidente! Katastrophe! Sebastian Vettel à la faute! Da ist Sebastian Vettel neben der Strecke.
With a sprinkle of rain, Vettel's Ferrari slipped into the gravel and out of the race. He would then go on to spin his car around in Italy, Japan and America to become 70 points adrift in the standings of Lewis Hamilton, who can wrap up his 5th world title this weekend if Vettel doesn't claim victory.
Continuing with motorsport, it's lights out and away we go as the Formula 1 checkered flag looks to be waving for Lewis Hamilton in Mexico this weekend. Ben King has more.
It's going to be Lewis Hamilton. The run into the line then. Hamilton takes the checkered flag.
2008 Formula One World Champion Lewis Hamilton.
Lewis Hamilton settles for third place in this race, and the title fight will carry on to Mexico.
Lewis Hamilton could have only dreamt of being on the verge of securing his 5th World Formula One title as an 8-year-old kart racer. The Mercedes man just needs to finish in the top 7 at Sunday's Mexican Grand Prix to wrap up the Drivers' Championship. The Brit discovered his passion for driving at the Rye House Karts circuit in Hertfordshire as he progressed through the cadet class ranks. Manager at Eastleigh's Team Sport Go-Karting Centre, James Kerr, emphasised that some of Formula One's greats started off behind a cartwheel.
All the F1 drivers started karting, so it's obviously the basic knowledge. If you look at Ayrton Senna, Hamilton, Schumacher, they all started karting and worked their way through. So it's just getting onto the track. It's the only, we do it from 8 years of age at Team Sport. Other centres or other tracks do it at a younger age. It's their first chance or their only opportunity to have motorsport at a young age.
Having progressed through the cadet class ranks, Hamilton contacted the then McLaren team boss Ron Dennis in his quest to get a professional F1 contract. 3 years later, and the British driver was awarded with a placement for McLaren's Young Driver Support Programme. Director of UK Go-Karting, John Burton, described how complex the process is from starting out as an amateur kart racer on the way to becoming a professional Formula One driver.
The normal procedure is you sort of take part in karting competitions. There are sort of various sort of cadet and junior levels. When you get to about 16, you really need to have won sort of the British Super One Championships. Some drivers move into Europe.
However exciting motor racing may be, it's important to note that Hamilton is the exception, not the rule. Nigel Edwards, who is the chairman of the MSA Kart Committee, believes that former kart drivers who have moved on to other racing disciplines can be doing much more for the sport.
George Russell and Lando Norris, they know where all their backgrounds come from, all their learning, all the heartache, all the good days, the bad days. That's all ingrained in them now. I say to them all, please don't ever forget your karting roots. And unfortunately, they could do so much more to help karting, but unfortunately, and I know it's their business and they get on and do their job, there really doesn't ever seem to be too much time for karting, and that is a great shame.
Hamilton is on the verge of making history, but kart racing's future seems to be unclear. Will the sport be stuck behind a safety car for the foreseeable future?
The English Football League introduced a new streaming service this season called iFollow. However, there has been a lot of talk about whether or not the service is affecting attendances at Football League matches. George Adams has more.
Into an area, Keogh, Zamora! Unbelievable! From the very brink of elimination, Bobby Zamora has surely scored another playoff winner.
Since the 1960s, it's been illegal to televise professional football in the UK between the hours of 2:45 and 5:15 on a Saturday. However, EFL's iFollow feature now allows some 3 o'clock Football League kickoffs to be streamed online, both overseas and in the UK. Midweek fixtures are also nearly always available to watch, and it's a growing concern that attendances may drop. Pompey News chief football writer Neil Allen is worried about the effect the live streaming could have on turnstile at Football League clubs like Portsmouth.
You want people to go and watch matches. That's part of football. That's what football's all about, attendances. And by encouraging people to stop going to games and sit at home and watch on television, that takes away some of the soul of the game. It just takes away the atmosphere, the passion, especially somewhere like Pompey, where they don't rely on explosions from fireworks. Pompey's atmosphere is genuine, it's natural.
When asking the EFL for an interview, they refused to comment on the subject. A statement online read, "The initiative is all about attracting new interest in the sport and at individual clubs, and providing a service to all supporters. We've been speaking to Football League fans about their views on the new service."
I think it would probably have an impact. If you can watch it free on the internet, then why would you pay a lot of money to go and watch it live?
It's football, it's a live game, so people will always enjoy to go to the stadium. It's just like movies. People needs to go to the fields, people needs to go to the cinemas.
Secretary of Portsmouth Supporters Trust Mark Farwell says the club is split about the introduction of iFollow.
We're having a big debate about this, as you know. I'm the Secretary of the Trust, so a part of the strategic plan and the strategic development for club is that we are completely divided down the middle of whether iFollow is a good thing or whether it's not. So our CEO, Mark Catlin, is opposed, although we do have the iFollow link, as you can see on the Portsmouth homepage. And the reason that we're not enthusiastic about this is that it will impact on attendances.
iFollow has certainly divided opinion amongst lower league enthusiasts, but will it stand the test of time?
University initiations made the headlines this week during an inquest into the death of 20-year-old Ed Farmer. He suffered a cardiac arrest on an initiation bar crawl. But what are the impacts outside of the extreme cases? Matt Walker reports.
The Solent football sides have been scoring goals for fun this season, but it was the amount of shots down the local pub that's been the relevant topic of discussion this week. Solent University have recently reminded their sports coaches that initiations are forbidden.
I'm Professor Maura Lafferty, I'm Deputy Head of Psychology, and I'm an applied sports psychologist.
Lafferty has produced extensive research into the effects of initiations on students. She thinks there is nothing positive involved.
We found that there was no impact on social cohesion or team cohesion, so really the notion that these types of events actually increase cohesion isn't actually substantiated by research, and in fact in many ways the opposite was true. There was absolutely no positive link there.
Headlines have been made this week by an inquest into the death of Ed Farmer, a first-year student at Newcastle University. Farmer died of a cardiac arrest in 2016 following an initiation-style bar crawl. But Dom Oakes, social secretary for the Solent football team, says they don't do those kind of activities.
We might say, we don't have initiations, but come and sing a song for us on the coach, something like that. You don't have to do it, it's just a bit of fun, and that's, we don't call them initiations.
There has to be a disclaimer at this point. This reporter's not entirely objective in this debate. I have experienced initiation style, shall we say, activities at university, and thought that what was witnessed was reasonable and light-hearted. However, a sportswoman at Solent believes that while her teammates haven't crossed the line, she can see how things could go wrong.
I don't think ours have been too out of hand, like most of the girls have enjoyed doing and have got involved with anyway. But obviously more extreme things that girls are going to disagree with, then obviously I feel like there's a line to draw. But yeah, I don't think anything our team's personally done has been anything but fun.
But what about other universities? David Voller is a first-year student on the rugby team at Bournemouth. He believes the option is there for people not to get involved in initiation events without feeling left out.
I think if they don't want to do it, they need to say no, because no one's got an issue with people saying they don't feel comfortable doing something. It just needs that individual to speak up for themselves.
Bournemouth University say it explicitly forbids initiations and that it has never supported them. But in Voller's experience so far, the positives have outweighed the negatives. He describes how being part of the rugby team has actually improved his social skills.
Personally, when I first came to uni, there was a couple of people I knew from college, but I didn't really know many people, and I'm not the most confident person at going up to random people and just introducing myself and making friends like that. So I feel like the rugby socials and stuff has really helped for me to make friends.
At Solent, the rugby team tried to dispel the myths about their sport and its drinking culture at university. The RFU said last year that 10,000 school leavers are quitting rugby, with the governing body blaming initiations, but Solent flanker Felix Light says that he never feels forced to drink alcohol.
Well, personally I don't drink, I can't drink, and I still go out. They're absolutely fine, there's no pressure for me to ever drink, and I still go out and have probably just as much fun as everyone else.
Solent University define initiations as something that may compromise a person's dignity by forcing a person to engage in behaviour that may be deemed humiliating. But Professor Lafferty believes that if those social behaviours can be kept positive, there would be benefits for everyone.
I think, when you hear about people leaving sports teams because they don't like the social culture, if we can alter that, then that is good for the sport, that is good for the players, that's inclusive, it keeps people at university, and sport has many positive benefits.
The Ed Farmer inquest heard that it is practically an impossible task to prevent initiation events taking place. It's clear, however, that the situation isn't as black and white as universities might think. Horror stories such as the Farmer case make the headlines, but the reality is that team bonding events do take place despite universities trying to ban them.
There was a radical change to Wimbledon tennis matches last week. What could be the impact? Alex Ferguson reports.
Fly from London to New Delhi, watch season 1 of Friends, or go to a day of Test cricket. These are just some of the things you can do in 8 hours and 10 minutes, which is how long the final set of John Isner and Nicholas Mahut's encounter took at Wimbledon in 2010. Finishing at 70-68 in the final set and tossing up a total run time of 11 hours 5 minutes, it set the record for the longest running match of all time. The previous rule was that the final set had to be won by 2 clear games. So what has changed? The All English Lawn Tennis Club announced that the last set of any Wimbledon match will go into a tiebreak if the score reaches 12-12 on games. John Isner also took part in the 4th longest match of all time this year. His semi-final at Wimbledon with Kevin Anderson lasted 6 hours 36 minutes, with Isner this time on the receiving end of a defeat. After the match, Anderson threw his support behind tiebreaks.
You know, there's no secret. I think a lot of, if you ask the players, it's, when you get stuck in these positions playing such long matches, it's very tiring. It's very tough. I think progress was made to introduce a tiebreaker. I personally don't see the reason not to include it.
However, in the past 5 years there have only been 5 instances in 635 Wimbledon matches in which the score has gone past 12-all in the final set. So is it really a necessary rule change? Lois Nash, the president of the Gem Tennis Club in Southampton, believes that it is important for player welfare.
The players get so worn out at the end of a long tournament, 2-week Grand Slam tournament. They're too tired and they can't do it. They're not playing their best, so it only has to work really. I think people also, spectators can't sit there all day, and there was one match that went 3 days. So, people can't do that.
Wimbledon is the second Grand Slam tournament to introduce final set tiebreakers, with the other being the US Open, which has tiebreakers at 6-all. Despite not being a common occurrence, the support from amateur players at Gem Tennis over the new rule is unanimous.
I think they're necessary just so that players aren't destroyed for the next round. I think that's where the problem lies. You don't get the full entertainment the next way.
I think it's an outstanding idea after last year's debacle of a final where Kevin Anderson was battered and didn't have a hope. I think it will actually make it better, and I think all Grand Slams will eventually roll it out.
I've been saying for a while that those long final sets are just a bit brutal. I mean, that Isner-Mahut game a few years ago, it's just a joke, and whoever's got them in the next round virtually got a bye. I think they've got it about right.
The French Open and the Australian Open have final set tiebreakers in doubles but not in singles matches. The rule in Wimbledon will be applied to all disciplines. Former LTA representative and Gem tennis coach Adam Goebel believes it is about time.
Some of the tournaments have done it, but obviously Wimbledon being the most traditional, they want to wait until everyone else makes their mistakes and then kind of jump on the best idea from them all. So yeah, they were always going to be the last ones to do it, but it's the right decision now.
The fact that Wimbledon, a tournament well known for being stubborn over changes, are introducing the new rule proves how important player welfare really is. As the game enters a new transition, more big changes could be coming soon.
Following on from the introduction of the 5th set tiebreak at Wimbledon next year, Henry Flynn looks at what it means for the traditions of the tournament.
Do you want to ask him? Richard, I'm just changing my socks. He's fine. Unbelievable.
Wimbledon, a tournament so steeped in tradition, you have to ask your opponent if you can change your socks, as Nick Kyrgios found out for himself in 2015. So does scrapping the old format and adding a 5th set tiebreak make a mockery of Wimbledon's heritage?
It's a very traditional sport, isn't it?
Ollie Eubank is an experienced amateur player at JEM Tennis.
They still have to wear white, so the fact that they're changing the rules is a huge thing. I personally think it's good. It shows that they're willing to change. They're slowly getting with the times, having a roof on their court, starting to change the rules.
Wimbledon is indeed changing. Many players quit last year's first round matches due to injury, so Wimbledon have decided to do something about it. From 2019, injured players will be allowed to withdraw from the first round, meaning no more forfeited matches and more entertainment for fans.
I'm Ben and I play at James Tennis. A shorter game would be a bit more dramatic and exciting for the fans. For the players, it would be a bit less tiring, but the result may be a little bit tough to take for the loser. Players get tired, the quality does drop, but I think the quality in the tiebreak would drop as well because of the pressure of losing a match just on a few points.
Adam Goebel is an LTA coach, and he believes new formats can attract new audiences to tennis.
They're trying definitely at the junior level, they're trying to introduce a lot more kind of shorter matches, so you play more matches, therefore you're playing more opponents, and actually your game's going to develop naturally by playing different players rather than playing 2 matches against the same type of opponents. Doesn't really benefit anyone. It's great to get the wins, but apart from that, it's not that kind of development of tennis. So they are trying it definitely at the junior level for shorter matches.
You only need to observe Wimbledon's very strict dress code to realise that it is a tournament of tradition. This includes all white clothing, and secondary colours must be only 1mm in width. Only as recently as 2007 did Wimbledon state that all underwear must be white as well. Despite recent changes, Wimbledon remains firmly close to its roots.
With the Men's Hockey World Cup only 1 month away, we investigated, has the success of the 2012 and 2016 Olympics left a lasting legacy on Great British hockey?
This is real drama. Crikey, oh blimey. Hinch comes out, takes it slowly, still luring, takes it wide again. Great save, Hinch. Spins in, Holly Webb scores! Great Britain win goal!
At Rio 2016, Team GB's women's hockey claimed their first ever gold medal. The aftermath of the event saw a huge increase in participation numbers at club level, but has the legacy continued since that famous night? The Team GB hero Maddie Hinch was one of the standout players on that miraculous night, but she expressed how important that win was for the next generation.
We have a vision as a group to inspire the future and create history, and we've achieved both those. To come back home, and I remember we walked into the airport and there was little kids in their club kits with sticks ready to meet us, and that really made it hit home as to the impact that we've had.
Straight after the Olympics had come to a close, over 10,000 more players joined local hockey clubs, with an 80% increase in the numbers of boys and girls, as well as a 54% increase in players over the age of 46. In the Hampshire County alone, since the men's and women's success at the London 2012 Olympics, hockey has seen a rise of 30% in men's participation and 65% in the women's game. We spoke with Gaynor Toms, who is the relationship manager in Hampshire for England Hockey, and she gave her thoughts on why the media coverage of the women's final has built on the legacy made by the 2012 Olympics.
Absolutely. The profile of hockey has skyrocketed, basically. We were fortunate enough to have the Olympics up in London, so it was visible to all. And then with the success of the 2016 Olympics in Rio, when the final was shown on BBC, I think it really brought home how big hockey is in this country and why it's growing.
Despite hockey gaining more popularity on and off the pitch, it still trails in the shadows for the likes of football and rugby. Solent hockey stars were inspired by the success of the national side, but still feel that recent growth in the sport is not enough to make sure that the sport continues to thrive.
Football and rugby bring in more views on the TV, so more people will watch it, so then advertisers get more money from it. And because hockey's a less popular sport, it won't go to the main channels.
I think England Hockey have pushed quite hard to get more people involved, so the participation rates have increased, as well as the national team success.
I can't see it overtaking for the clear reason that with football or with rugby you just need a ball and you can play just on the field, whereas hockey you need sticks, sometimes you need pads. But I can see it getting more popular, that we have more success in the Olympics and other tournaments.
And Gaynor believes the development of the sport can inspire anyone of all ages to get involved in the game.
We're also introducing walking hockey now for those people who want a more gentle introduction to the game, and that's beginning to take off with a number of clubs in the area that are starting to pilot the initiative at the moment, which is absolutely fantastic.
Sam Stockdale, Solent Sports News.
That's all for today. Thanks for listening to Solent Sports News. We'll be back next week from 11 a.m. Remember, you can keep up to date on our website, solentjournalism.co.uk.